Cautiously optimistic.
Anyways,
It's like the polar opposite of me. Not cautiously pessimistic.
unconsciously.
I am pes-
No, uncautiously.
pessimistic with reckless abandon.
Yes.
Hey, buddy, that's called anxiety and depression.
So where we left off, Rin has set up a chair in the base, well, two chairs in the basement, tied the dwarf to one, sat across the room from him in the other. The dwarf is still blindfolded, with a bag over his head. Liberty, are you down there or no?
Yes, I'm going down there. I'm going to adjust my disguise self. DM, what deities do the Vinzoli recognize?
The Vinzoli
I
recognize
mean,
most of the deities. They ascribe a few different hierarchies to them. Issa is definitely one of the higher ones. Solbier's actually pretty high on it because of his connection to the trade. Uh, Stuff like that.
mhm.
If you have specific questions, I can answer
Right.
specific things, but I'm not going through the
Sure.
whole list and telling everything about everyone.
Yeah, no, I was looking more for like which ones they tend to favor or revere more highly. So that's what I
With
was looking for.
with Issa being the god of the dwarves, they do tend to actually, you know, subscribe to his beliefs.
Hmm. From what I know about Eva, is there some stuff to leverage there for like anti-trade, like with his thing about balance? Or
Uh, Go ahead and make a religion check.
okay. And throughout this, she's just praying like, Amada, help me get through to him. Oh, see here. 12?
12?
Yeah.
With a 12. You're not entirely sure. You haven't done a lot of research on Issa.
Hmm.
With a 12, you, especially with where you live, uh, and the understanding of gods from a courtesan standpoint and an O'Haran standpoint in general, it's rare that anyone actually uses arguments from scriptures of the quote unquote lesser gods for anything like that. Most everything revolves around the doctrines of the uh, elder three gods. Uh, Making so you're not recalling anything that would really help you with Issa in particular for this.
That's fair. Um, all right. So going to adjust my look. I'm gonna stay dwarvish for now. Um,
I will also make mention
but
you can with
yeah,
disguise self you can only adjust your height a little. If you're going dwarvish, you're going tall
true,
dwarf.
probably. Let me see.
I believe it's a foot in
Taller
either
enough.
direction.
Well, I'm only 5'2", so if I drop that to 4'2", that's actually not that tall for a dwarf.
Fair enough.
Remember correctly.
I
Something
didn't
like
realize Liberty was that short.
I yeah, no, I just put her in. She's not she's a short woman, but like reasonably short for a tiefling or human or
Fair
any of
enough.
those
Yeah.
more medium class races. Um, yeah. So dwarvish. Um, Cat, why are you like this? Um, go with kind of. an older, more mature, um, switch to a more sun-tanned look rather than the like fresh sunburn look. And for the clothing, kind of go with my best approximation of a Vinzoli style priestly robes.
Okay.
Or some, the noblest, holiest sort of
Make
upright
a
dwarf I can.
history check for that.
Oh, cool. Um, 16.
Good to know. Rin, what are you doing in preparation?
All right. I have taken on I look mostly like a human, except that when I smile, my teeth look like a row of shark's teeth.
Okay. Good to know.
Mostly like a
Uh,
human, except for what?
Shark's teeth.
Oh, lovely.
And I have taken out a dagger and I'm like slowly sharpening.
All right.
Nice to meet you, Kirishima.
Anything else?
Nice to meet me. What?
Kirishima.
I feel like I'm missing the reference.
It's a My Hero Academia reference.
Certainly, yes.
Darian is
Um,
upstairs in his study.
And
poring
Darian
over-
is not coming downstairs, right?
No.
Yeah.
I am in my study,
Okay.
poring over like a handful of tomes all spread out open on the desk. And, like
Alright.
looking at like multiple books at once.
He's gone into the fever dream of leveling up.
He is looking for something for sure.
All right. A few minutes later, the grinding of the whetstone on metal does eventually begin to seem to get through to the unconscious figure, who twitches, then kind of shakes their head and begins trying to look around before realizing that they're in a sack. You hear muffled from inside the bag. Ugh. Ugh. God, those teeth. My head. Ugh.
Liberty will approach and apply just a first level cure wounds. And I'm
Hello?
lazy, so rolling in.
Is there anyone out there?
So the wounds is 7 points of healing to
Alright.
him.
He breathes a sigh of relief, but
Okay.
you can hear the sharp intake of breath afterwards as he's still in a lot of pain. Where am I? Who are you?
Easy, easy, friend. And I will remove the bag.
All right. What's your passive? That. Okay. Liberty, with your passive medicine, his eyes are dilated. He definitely has a really bad concussion.
Mm-hmm.
He takes
So much I can do.
takes in everything in a few moments, seeing you who've taken off the bag from him, seeing the human-like gentleman who is sharpening away at a knife, and you could kind of see all the wheels are turning.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I?
Safe for now.
He kind of tries moving his arms and realizes that he's tied down. Who are you people?
You were traveling with some very dangerous men. Got to tell me why?
He blinks a couple times. Dangerous man. I don't. I don't. I don't know what you're talking about.
From the corner, you just hear lies.
Make an intimidation check with advantage.
What was the word he said?
That's a natural
Lies.
20.
Oh,
Hell yeah! He kind of he jumps in his seat, and you hear the chair rock back and forth as he kind of tries to get away a little further. I swear, I don't know. I I don't know anything. I don't remember what it was. I don't. I, he's. You can see his eyes are filling up with tears.
Why don't you start with who you worked for?
I think. Last I remember, I was a vineyard tender. Oh, my head.
DM?
Yeah.
Insight check?
Yeah, insight check.
That is a modified 20.
He genuinely appears to have forgotten quite a bit.
It would seem he was jugged a little too hard. What is your name?
My name, I blinks for a couple seconds. I think my name is Malco. Malco, yes. My name is Malco.
Solo.
For Q Forge.
Did he just say lies again?
No, he said Polo. Did not say Marco. I said Malco, Malco, not Marco. Are you having trouble hearing, Jesse?
It's okay. But Forge tends to just sometimes speak too quickly. And so
Okay.
my audio doesn't catch all of it.
I can't
Um,
help
We're going to try to get
It
through this
doesn't help if
interaction.
people talk at the same time.
We're going to try to get through this interaction, but if it doesn't get any better, we're probably going to call it afterwards.
Alrighty.
Fair enough. Malco, do you remember traveling to Corizo?
Corizo is Corizo. I don't is that in Venzoli? I don't know
No.
a Corizo.
He has forgotten.
You don't say. I'm assuming he still seems as forthright as from the beginning. Like we
Yeah,
tentatively
he-
just erased the most.
You've
Recent
definitely
check
erased
remembers.
at least a year, if not more.
He is of little use to us.
Why can't this be Rin's accent? This is sexy.
Everything I do is sexy, baby.
Fair. Fair. Anyways.
Do you have any family in Venzoli?
I have a mama. She also works at the vineyard. I think. Poof. My head is very foggy.
You're a long way from home, my friend. And you seem to have gotten yourself into a fair bit of trouble.
What do you mean? Where are we?
You're in Corizo, which is in the this is in O'Harry.
His his eyebrows shoot up. His face is incredulous. That the desert? What? Why? I don't. But he just kind of sputters and stutters for a little while.
You got caught up with some very bad men, but it would seem that your mind has pushed these memories away, especially after you were hurt. I can heal your injuries a little bit, and we can get you to the docks so you can get back home.
Home. Yes, I would like to go home. Oh, God's my head.
Yeah, let me help with that as best I can. And I'll do a second level cure wounds.
All right.
You know what? I didn't prep it, did I? Okay. Lesser restoration might have fixed his memory, but honestly, Liberty's of the opinion that this may be a mercy. He can go back and start over. So second level cure wounds. Going to be 12 points back to him. And then I'm gonna cast sleep.
Okay.
But I sound like
You
that.
know how much healing you've done. I'm gonna forgo the roll on this one because it'd be weird if it didn't work.
Yeah,
But
and I can aim it so it doesn't hit anyone else.
very graciously and mercifully, he does go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So while all of that is transpiring downstairs, Darian has multitasked and done a few things. After a bit of reading, he pauses and realizes something, and then scribbles a note, and then hands it to Najila, who puts it in her beak, and he sends her downstairs. And then, as Najila is kind of walking across the room, so to speak, she's tired. She doesn't feel like flying, and watching owls walk is hilarious.
It is.
Darian goes through the house looking for both Rain and Zephyr.
Okay.
And informs them both that we have a kind of sort of guest, and then to remain upstairs until he is gone to avoid seeing.
Rain isn't in the house.
Okay.
But you do find Saphir, who is already aware of this and was already hiding in his room to avoid socialization.
Wonderful. About halfway through that conversation, I say conversation because it's really not all that much of a
interrogation.
Yeah. This has become a very passive conversation. Liberty, and knowing Rin's passive, he would notice too, but Najila kind of hops down like the steps one at a time and presents Liberty with a hand-scrawled note. Just saying to send Najila back before you bring him upstairs again.
Rin wasn't looking at the door. He just heard something in the doorway, and an eye opened in the back of his head to watch what was going on.
This makes the bird uncomfortable, but she also obeys commands, so she's kind of learned to ignore the weird shit that he does at this point.
She hasn't seen him do weird shit aside from this.
The cave incident?
That one thing.
It's still pretty jarring for a bird to notice this. But she's probably gotten a little more used to your presence by now. You are here most of the time.
Rin's great. What's not to love?
True. So the prisoner's been put back to sleep.
Okay. Darian is not paying attention through the eyes or ears of the bird, which is why he's the instruction was to send her back first so that he would notice the bird is in the room again. Darian has resumed after doing those things to feverishly reading through multiple books in search of something.
What is Darian in search for?
At the moment, I don't know. I just know that he's feverishly looking for something.
Good to know.
I will improv that as we get to it.
Okay. Down in the basement, though. The dwarf has been put to sleep. What are you guys doing?
Nobody says, I'd like to take him down Tux, get him on the ship back home.
Are you talking to
Can
Rin?
you help me at least get into the cut? Yes, can you help me at least get him into the cut?
Sure. I mean, very well.
That is very disconcerting, which I presume is the point.
You don't say. People are more likely to let something slip if they're on edge. Where's Rachel? That is not my Batman voice.
I know, but it's all I'm hearing now.
But it's pretty close to it's pretty
Where's
close to a
Rachel?
Christian Bale voice.
Have y'all seen Venom? Okay, no joke. Have y'all seen Venom?
Yeah.
It is note for note the
Yes.
same voice, and I was doing
Yeah,
that
it
voice
is.
before Venom came out, and I was big mad when I heard Venom speak for the first time. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
I am
Now
so
everyone
sorry
thinks.
they
Now
stole your
everyone's gonna
shtick.
think I'm unoriginal.
I was the origin of that voice.
One voice he can stick to.
That's kind of great.
Oh.
Can we eat him?
Anyway. No, Rin, you cannot. Please do not try to eat dwarf. It would be bad for
I did
both
not.
of you.
No, that I said nothing about eating the dwarf. What the
That
hell?
was me. And I'm really
10 out of
happy.
We're gonna blame that on. We're gonna blame that on my audio for Forge's ego's sake. Good job, Kelso.
Speaking of which, how is your audio right now?
It's not too bad. Occasional cutouts, but it's not every single time super slow robot.
Okay. Then we can keep going for a bit, but next time it does it, unless we're in a spot that we can't stop, we're probably gonna stop.
Okay, so we just have to have super RP intense moments all the time, guys.
The entire
Not
time.
stop.
I can do that.
X. Anyway, load him up in the cart. I believe his weapons are still in Darian's bag of holding. He probably won't be getting this back.
Yeah, most likely.
Whatever was grabbed and put in my bag, then yes. The stuff that you put in my bag, I gave back to you, unless there were certain weapons or stuff that you also put in the bag. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah,
So
Liberty.
Yes.
When Rin picked up what's his name, his skin is less pale than it usually is, more of a gray. And if you looked closely, it had the same consistency as shark scales.
Nice.
Rin saw a shark once when he was young and thought it was like the coolest thing ever, and this shape followed shortly afterward.
That checks out. There are
I love
sharks
it
in
so
this area.
much. Yeah,
Do
totally.
sharks have scales?
Yeah,
Kind of.
no, not kind of. They have scales.
Their
I
skin
took
is
marine
really
biology.
weird, but
I thought they had like I don't know if skin's the word I'm looking for, but I thought they still had like the same kind of skin that like the other mammals like dolphins and stuff had.
Nope. No, well, sharks aren't mammals.
Sharks
they're
also
not
have
mammals.
like
They don't have mammal skin. They have grooves.
like teeth on the
Weird.
scales themselves.
They're
Not
called.
actual teeth, but
believe
like they're
called.
sharp.
I believe they're called dendrites,
Yeah.
Very weird.
and they're basically they're almost more of a chitin.
That is
sorry,
weird looking.
It's not chitin. It's not made of the same material that fish scales are, so it's not made out of keratin. It's almost more of a bone.
Yeah,
Yep.
no,
And
it's
it fe-
more cartilage, if I
yeah,
remember
it
correctly.
feels like sandpaper.
Yeah. And like if you go super close up, there's like these grooves in it. It actually makes them more hydrodynamic. Olympic swimsuits are based off, they started making some of them out of material based off of shark skin to make the swimmers faster.
The more you know.
Quite.
The more you know.
But yeah, so you guys begin making ready to transport the dwarf to the docks.
Goal is to try to like get him into the cart before he wakes and start getting the cart away from Darian's place before the dwarf starts waking
All
up.
right. I assume that you send Najila up before you go up so that Darian knows what's going on.
Pretty much just shooing the bird out in front of us.
Yeah. So Darian, you do notice that Najila makes it back to you, and then a few minutes later, you hear trudging on the steps from the storage room, and the two of them begin to emerge.
Rain's not home. Zephyr's upstairs, so Darian's just covering himself with his shawls and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Darian leaves the study and intercepts them. So, what is happening then?
He doesn't remember anything. We're sending him back home.
Really? Anything? He doesn't remember anything.
Nothing from the past. My best guess would be a year or so. Nothing before leaving his homeland.
Wow. That's...
Or nothing after leaving his home. Nothing.
That is impressive. Yeah.
You saw how hard he hit the cliff.
Well, I didn't see it, but I definitely heard it, to say the least.
Felt it in my bones.
I felt it. Yeah. The cart is outside. I guess. Are you taking him to the docks? I guess.
The ducks. Yes.
Is he just to find his own way home? What is the plan there?
Going to help him find the nearest, or the soonest. Can't think of words. The soonest ship headed to Vinzoli. From there, he'll have to make his own way.
Fair enough. Yeah, the cart is outside. Feel free to use it.
She's already moving, has not stopped walking as we were
She's
talking
angry.
to get him into the cart before he wakes up.
She's
So
angry.
You toss the unconscious dwarf into the cart. Get saddled up. Rin, are you following along with this one?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
He has not changed
Are you?
his shape yet.
I was about to say you're still Shark Man. Okay.
Excuse me, Shark Boy.
Oh, my
Oh,
mistake.
Keeler Laudner.
Does that make Liberty Lava Girl?
I
I'm glad
loved that
someone
movie as
picked
a
up on
kid.
it.
Not yet. But if he keeps pushing her temper,
The cleric now knows the spell lava
Surprise!
flow.
She was the fire genasi the whole time.
Rise, motherfucker.
All right. You guys begin making your way towards town. The city is bustling and busy at the moment. Your travel isn't necessarily terribly conspicuous. You have a sleeping person in the back of the cart as you make your way into town. No one really pays any heed. You make it to the docks. Probably your best bet is going to the northern docks, so you don't have to go into the third wall. There are some foreign docks that well, let me rephrase that. The foreign docks are on the far end of the city, closer to the college and the Sultan's palace, but there are some docks on the western side, on the northern bit, that would most likely accommodate travel to the Vinzoli Isles.
Perfect. I will begin asking around, saying I need passage for a cousin of mine who's trying to get back home.
All right, make an investigation check.
Oh, goody. Can I bless myself?
This is an elongated thing? Probably not.
That's fair. Especially asking for that. Or I'm like, 9.
9? All right.
No, wait, 10. Sorry, 10.
Okay.
I do have a bonus to this.
It does take
Not
about
much.
2 hours before you find a ship that a hefty skiff that seems to be good enough for island hopping. They say that they're headed towards a few islands that jut off from the Vinzoli and could probably make their way to a connecting port to leave him at. The trip will be costs all included, probably about 120 gold pieces.
I will turn to. Has Malco regained consciousness at this point?
Say that again?
Has Malco regained consciousness by the time we're all the way out over there?
He is groggily beginning to wake up, yes.
Okay. I'll head back to him and because other than removing weapons, I didn't really search him or loot him. And ask him if he has any coin on his person.
Give me a sec, sorry.
Oh, did
No, sorry, I was responding to a text. Kelso.
okay.
Darn Kelso
Stop
texting me
again.
during the game. He kind of pats his pockets
He just
down.
wants to feel loved and included.
He pats his pockets down and finds a small pouch on himself, seeming surprised himself to find 200 gold pieces in there. I
How did I miss
don't
that when I
remember
was
making
looting?
this. Liberty was kind of
Oh no,
hovering
that's
over.
right. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah. You did find 15 platinum, which is 150 gold pieces.
Hey, listen,
You're
Rin
fine.
always needs more.
Fair.
We split in that, Roy.
You don't know Rin has it.
I mean,
Rin's sociability only goes so far.
the surprise on Malco's face. I don't ever remember having this much gold on my person ever, or ever owning this much gold. Oh, what did you say I was doing
Liberty
here?
just puts her hand. Malco, at this point, just consider that a blessing from the gods. That should more than cover your passage back to Vinzoli.
Okay. Sure. Fine. Okay. He seems to have a hard time accepting that.
Liberty's trying to figure out how to gently just like coax him along without actually physically touching him because she's still in dwarven illusion and we don't want to throw that off.
Rin guides him very firmly along by the shoulder.
Well, thank you for all your help. Oh, I don't think I ever got your name.
You are correct.
Shoves him off on the ship.
Yeah, Liberty's not going to supply one. She's just going, oh no, he's too far away.
Oh no! Wait, come back.
The dwarf
No, stop. Come back.
the dwarf sufficiently shuffled away. You guys reconvene on the docks. He does wave at you from the from the port bow as you guys make your way away.
Rin smiles at
Liberty
him.
will wave back.
He smiles himself at the wave back from Liberty and then cowers a little bit at the smile from Rin and moves further into
Yeah,
the ship.
it is definitely not a friendly smile.
If you come back, we'll kill ya.
You're enjoying this far too much.
I always do.
Wonderful. All right, let's get the carts back to Darian's.
All right. You guys eventually make your way back to Darian's place. It's getting to be late afternoon, early evening by the time you make it back.
Darian is still moving through his books. He hasn't moved.
Okay. And I think you said something, Jesse, but I wasn't sure.
Sorry, I think I said it too quietly. Mic problems. Walking through the door after finally completing that task, Liberty just huffs out. Well, that was not what I was hoping for.
You win some, you lose some.
I don't mean with Malco. I meant this mission as a whole.
Rin morphs back to his normal self. What did you expect?
Something a little bit closer to what we did the first time.
What?
I
Kill three
specifically
guys and
said
throw
I
them
am
down the
tired
well?
of this. Take a few captured folk back to their people. Something like that. Liberate slaves, not just play economics between rival criminals.
Sometimes one must play dirty to get the nice result.
Liberty
You
visibly
can't have your cake and eat
winces
it too.
at that. That is dangerous justification, Rin.
I didn't say it was a justification. It's a fact of life. If you play nice, you will almost never get to the finish line. If you want to win this and actually achieve something,
And if
you have to
you
do the
permit
things that you usually
everything
wouldn't want to.
Darian has finally noticed that there are people in his house again, and you can hear from his study different books snapping shut and moving back and forth. And Darian comes out of the room with his spell book and like 2 or 3 books shut, like in hand, tucked under his arm. I trust it went well.
Hold on. I have to check something. Rin would like to use prestidigitation to create a puff of wind that knocks the books to the floor.
Okay. Darian, I'll need a dex check. I have already decided the DC based on the style of spell this is.
Why is that the thing I roll the best on? That's a 18 without modifiers. I need to pull.
Okay, yeah. The gust of wind definitely makes you juggle a book for a second, but you catch it. Yeah.
Knock it off.
Rin is basically poltergeist.
Yeah, that checks out. Out of curiosity, how expansive is Liberty's knowledge of other gods and religions?
Are you asking her?
Meta wise, yes.
Knowing what you asked me over text, she definitely would not recognize this.
Okay. There's a handful beyond that. That's just the one I couldn't pronounce.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
That
anyway,
one is also the hardest one to pronounce, to be fair.
naturally. There's a handful of books. Liberty may or may not notice that some of them are referring to certain gods.
Liberty's not really paying any attention to Darian at the moment because Rin's over there trying to tell Liberty that, oh, sometimes you have to get your hands dirty to actually get things done.
No, Rin isn't trying to tell her that. He just told her that.
There we go.
Pretty much verbatim.
Like if she gets her hands dirty, then it's the
Right.
worst fucking thing ever.
I'm not trying to tell you. I'm just, whether or not you listen is up to you. Darian looks at Rin, tells him to knock it off, rolling his eyes, and stuffs the books into his bag.
And as soon as you started making justifications and excuses for how far it is to be acceptable, or as soon as you decide that whatever means are necessary to accomplish that goal, you begin to excuse more and more, and it is very easy to lose oneself.
I have a question for you.
Yes?
Do you enjoy acting like you're the best person in the room?
Darian is exchanging glances back. His eyes are darting back and forth, reading both faces.
I'm uncomfortable with the energy we have created in the studio today.
I mean, he's not going to say anything, but he's also totally agreeing with Rin.
Generally, Rin's goal. Is that what you think? That you think I'm saying this
Actions
because I
speak
think
louder
I'm
than
better than you?
words. And you've done nothing but question us constantly, as if you're the only one who thinks about these things.
I question
Guess
you
what?
as constantly as I question myself.
Well, you should stop questioning yourself as much, because frankly, it's annoying as hell.
Less so, actually. If I do not hold myself in check, innocent people die, Rin.
That's how
Do not
everyone
test
works.
me.
Welcome to the real world.
Liberty, it is evident that you have certain baggage regarding this topic, but I have to agree with Rin. If you are in this line of work, there are certain things that do need to be handled, and in certain fashions. I don't have any qualms with the way tonight panned out. I
You're
don't
going
care
to
that-
lecture me now?
Do I sound like I'm lecturing you? I am just telling you that if you are going to continue in this line of work, if you are going to continue this line of work with us even more so, then yes, cooperation is important and ground rules should be established, but you have to maybe not compromise yourself, but understand that certain things are done a certain way for a reason. If someone is paid to assassinate another, they are not going to question the morality of, well, should I kill this man? No, they are going to do what they are paid to do.
Let me put it this way. In this line of work, trust in your team is extremely important. That's why I've worked alone for all of my entire life. However, trust in yourself is arguably more important. And the fact that you question yourself more than you're questioning us, which, by the way, is a fuck ton, speaks drastically to the level of trust you have in both us and yourself. And that's something you need to sort out.
I don't know either of you well enough to know how much I should be paranoid or how much I should trust you. And the last time I trusted myself to decide right and wrong, children died. So
Well-
excuse me, Rin, if I would like a few ground rules in place first.
Look me in the eye. Tough shit. Get over it. You're holding yourself back, and it's only going to hurt you in the long run. People die.
Liberty slaps Rin across the face.
Dexterity saving throw.
It's an attack roll.
Right. Okay, let me see. Unarmed strike. It's a 7.
Rin, you're easily able to catch her by the wrist before she makes it to you.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Children died. I have siblings who are slaves. The world's a shitty place. If you don't get over that, over your issues, you're only going to hurt someone again. Lack of trust in us is one thing. I get it. He's a shithead. I'm also an asshole. Trust in yourself
not
is
wrong.
entirely different.
Liberty, You have done an amazing job helping to keep all of us alive, including my son, and I appreciate that. But you need to not hold yourself back. Rin is right. You cannot live in the past. I refuse to.
Liberty yanks her arm away from Rin and rounds and Darian. I'm sorry that my past is not as easy to leave behind as yours, rich boy. I cannot just pretend like the things I have done never happened. I cannot afford to lose control. I have tried so hard to become a different person. And now you're telling me I should just let go and do whatever comes naturally?
Yes.
You think I haven't lost so much of my own? Yes, I have family that was wealthy in the past. This is all mine now because they are all gone. Do you think I haven't lost things myself? Do you think that, oh, just because he is a rich boy, he has not sacrificed everything that he has loved? We all have baggage, Liberty. We have all had pasts. Things we regret, things we cannot change. I don't live in the past because you cannot change it. I'm not saying to just lose control whenever you feel like. That is not what I am saying. I am saying acknowledge what has happened and move the fuck on.
Alit Nasir Hedar Hahin Kadir.
Do I speak that language?
I hate it when y'all fucking do this. I have no idea
It's a
what y'all are
name.
saying.
It's a name, and it's a name that you guys have. It's actually come up in game before.
Both of you
One that
recognize
you
it.
guys have.
Darian, you're a bit more familiar. Actually, both of you are pretty familiar. This is one of the individuals in the hierarchy that Liberty pointed out on Rin's hit list.
Is this the one at the top of the list that we discussed
No.
in further detail? Okay.
Oh, yeah, the one we discussed in further detail.
Okay. That's a really long name. Good for her for pulling that up and doing that. What about him?
I took everything from that man. More importantly, I killed so many innocents. Tried to hurt him. That is what happens when I follow my instinct and when I get to decide what is right and wrong.
Are you telling me you are the one who burned his entire home to the ground?
The house stands. I burned everyone inside. I suffocated to death in the smoke. And as she's saying this, her the illusion of the dwarf around her starts to pull and sort of melts into a human boy somewhere between the ages of 9 and 12. Face swollen, discolored, eyes completely bloodshot with a dead stare. This is what happens when I don't hold myself in check. If I do not answer to a higher power, if I do not take the time to submit my actions before a mother, she gave me a chance to be someone else, and I will not jeopardize that for your haste, and she's turning to glare at both of them now, for your goals, your schemes.
You
Who
haven't
I
heard
was.
a word we've said.
I've heard those words before from a different man.
No, you've heard
It
words like them.
brought nothing but disaster.
You've heard words like them, and so now if you hear anything that smacks of that sort of thing, tune it out. So that's fine.
I've been
Have a good night, Liberty. And Rin just turns and walks away.
Darian remains in place and is just staring.
I merely begged both of you for some idea of what ground rules we would have in place. I wanted to avoid this sooner.
Liberty. I have said it before, I will say it again, perhaps this time getting somewhat through to you. In this type of work, certain things must be done. Our arrangement, our conversation earlier was to try to curb the amount of deaths. This cannot be prevented. It can be reduced, it can be weighed, but it cannot be stopped entirely. I don't know how you expect for these types of things to continue without doing certain things to achieve them. I would not be so bold as to say get your hands dirty the way that Rin did and the way he went about it, but the point he makes is right. You cannot make an omelet without cracking eggs. You can be sparing in which eggs you use and how many omelets you wish to make, but then at the end of the day, you still need to make the omelet.
You say that a line can exist, but no one here will commit to where this line is supposed to be. You say there doesn't have to be as much murder. You never say where the line is between killing for the right reasons and when it is just murder of convenience. Neither of you will commit where the line is.
And how do you expect us to commit such a line in stone when everything is based on context? If I wanted to, I had well enough time today that I sent Najila out to look for them, to see where they were, and to prepare. Did you see me preparing more fireballs? No. We did it Rin's way. We almost got caught, but we didn't. Those are 14 lives that we did not snuff today. 2. We have two fatalities and one person who is going back to his home. You have yourself, the both of us, and that conversation we had earlier. Was it earlier or was it yesterday? I'm totally breaking my rant right now, but
Earlier.
the conversation earlier today, to thank for that, you have saved 1 life out of those 3. 2 of them died, yes. One of which wasn't even us. It was that thing, which we also destroyed, which is going to save thousands of lives in the end. We also saved 14 lives of all of those guards that came to approach us. We were on the cliffside. Do you know how far a fireball alone can spread and hit most, if not all of them? Killing probably most of them with just 1 incantation on a cliffside, with all of them riding side by side. We could have snuffed 14 lives today instead of 1, because I'm really not even going to count the other one, because that was the scorpion. So 1 Liberty instead of 16. Are you really upset at the overall picture of that, or are you too stuck in your past to see that overall picture other than the 2? Not to mention the thousands that we are saving by destroying that thing. Yes, we killed one person today. That is unfortunate. But you know what? I would rather kill one person and save thousands than to not do anything about any of this. And to sit in my bookstore and count coins and books and inventory all day. Sure, it's nice. I like seeing the people and selling them something that they will read and enjoy. But you know what? I am making a difference. Yes, I killed one person today. I am saving thousands by doing so. How do you not see the net worth of that?
I'm grateful that they survived today. However, had we been discovered, had we not gotten so lucky when we were stopped, would Rin have hesitated before killing all of them to keep himself from ending up in prison? Would you?
We would have ended up in prison. They would have known that it was us. We would have been dead there. We're on the Emir side, right? The military is the Emir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those guards were technically of the Sultan, but
Well,
either way,
yeah,
the prison
that's-
system isn't necessarily kind.
Yeah. Do you really trust the government that is in place, Liberty? Do you think we would have had a fair trial? Do you think we would have served time? Maybe we would have picked up trash in the streets. Maybe we would have, I don't know, given food to the poor or something. No, that's not even something they would do. No, we would have been dead. All of us, on the spot. What we had on our persons would have been raided, taken, and kept in their pockets. The same way that Rin takes what's in their pockets. So no, I don't think Rin would have hesitated today. But you know what? Maybe you should thank him. Because his ingenuity and his expertise in his job is what kept all of that from happening today. You need to look at the bigger picture.
Liberty is no longer meeting Darian's eyes. Her arms are still folded across her chest, but she has not said a word.
Is she still in the form of the child?
Yes, at the moment.
If
Takes
you
a deep
need...
breath.
Go ahead.
Takes a deep breath. And then a second. And it slowly melts away to resume her normal human form.
If you need to reconsider your free time activities, as these are, maybe that is for the best. But if you want to continue working alongside us and making a difference for the world, as Rin said, hands do need to get dirty. But if you want to continue doing this, take solace in knowing that you are doing the right thing overall. Some people have to do things that aren't the best in the moment in order to make a brighter future tomorrow. If Rin wants to create a coup and overhaul the entire military, that is going to be a lot of blood. But if he is freeing multiple species in the process, and by the end of it, I think those numbers definitely outweigh that. Especially if you are as tactical and good at planning as he is. Rin is kind of crazy, I agree, but he is not stupid enough to just walk into, I can't repeat that man's name, into his office, execute him, and just walk away, rather than slaughtering hundreds of guards as he storms the palace. He is smarter than that.
I need some time to think.
I understand.
And she turns and heads back toward the temple district, or the shrine.
Darian, I don't know, like her shield or something that was on the ground, hands it to her, and as she is like making her way through the doorway, safe travels, Liberty. If this is the end, I understand. Just think about it. Take your time, and come back when you are ready, if you wish. And as she starts to leave, and Darian shuts the door, Liberty hears very, very, almost audibly, barely audibly at all. She is too much like her. And the door shuts.
Oh, Liberty will remember that. And then Liberty will make her way back to the shrine.
All right. Rin, where did you go?
Rin is just wandering the town.
Okay. Good to know. Darian, you are left home alone. Zephyr's probably upstairs, but for the most part, you have the house to yourself. What are you doing?
Darian is kind of frozen in place, having had that conversation and the last line that he had said under his breath, and is looking at the moonlight streaming through the windows on either side of the door against the wall. He looks at the spot in the corner where the wall meets the floor, pauses, and then turns and walks away. Darian takes the books back out of his bag, sits at the desk, and reads through those for a while, and makes notes all over different books, and then back into his spellbook, transferring information.
All right.
He then heads downstairs and checks his wine cellar.
All right. You all eventually find a place to sleep for the night. Liberty, you find a familiar spot in the temple district near the shrine. The moon, in its partial waxing, does light up the courtyard more or less. Though it's empty, it's quiet. The single obelisk that has most of the scriptures that you've been able to study of Hamada lies still and quiet in this open area.
After taking one last look around to make sure that she's definitely alone, Liberty approaches, kneels at the base, rests a hand on the obelisk, and finally just breaks down in sobs. Anger, fear, regret, just everything. Mata, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm trying, but I don't know which path I'm on or how to move forward from here.
You take a few moments and pour your frustration, your anxiety, your grief at what you have had to do, what has happened with you, what has been these past few days, this past week. You allow yourself to just open it all and fully pour it in. A few minutes later, what feels like hours, you hear a sharp step on the stone behind you.
Who's that?
As you turn, you see a young man in his 20s or so, stockily built, dressed in not wealthy but comfortable clothes. Tall boots that almost reach his knees are pointed at the toe, and around his shoulders is a short cloak. He says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice that anyone else was here. I came to offer my prayers to the shrine, but if you're using it, I can go. It's
No, it's all right. I've already finished my prayers. I can step aside, give you some privacy if you need.
there are multiple sides to an obelisk, and he kind of picks a different side of it and kneels down. You can see his lips move silently as he whispers a prayer under his breath. He gives a deep bow to the obelisk and kind of sits back on his haunches. I don't mean to pry. Are you all right?
More or less. Another few days. I'll be okay.
The obelisk is gorgeous in the moonlight. It's like she graces it every night.
Yes, I definitely prefer to see it in this lighting. Or a full moon, of course, but it's always most beautiful under her light.
I don't normally come here this time of night, but I've found that when I really need her guidance, it's when I can't sleep anymore. Tell me, what troubles you? It's late for anyone to be out alone.
Perhaps more devoted to a mother than most. So it's not that late for me.
You don't have to tell me. It doesn't. I don't want to be pushy.
You have trouble sleeping. Nightmares? Or just anxious thoughts?
The world is a busy place. And that tends to culminate in one's head. Do you drink? I know a great place not too far from here. Good wine.
Do they serve coffee or tea?
I mean, it's a little late, but I'm sure they could.
Not much for wine, but
Well,
take
I will
coffee
drink
or
the
chai.
wine. You can have the coffee. Come. It is good for one's soul to share a drink when the mind is troubled.
I don't think I've come across that proverb before, but perhaps I shall have to add that to my book.
No, it's you shouldn't have. It's my own.
That's quite good. Your name?
My name. Jacob immediately scrolls through notes.
I have a name.
What's his
It's
middle name?
It's a very good name.
It is the name that my father gave me.
I am Ardman. And you are?
Um, call me Fathia.
Well, Fathia, it is this place I know. It's just a few blocks down, and he begins to walk down the roads with you.
Since I'm very familiar with these streets and with most establishments for food or drink, do I have a general idea of which place he's probably headed toward?
I mean, there are a few that he could be heading towards. A few minutes later, and some basic small talk. He does end up leading you to what is a cafe. And I forget the name of it right now. So we're going to say that he leads you in a side door where you don't actually get to see the front sign. This is a place you're semi-familiar with. I don't know if you've ever actually frequented it yourself.
So not one of my,
This is definitely not one of your usual spots. It's in no way seedy, though.
yeah.
He walks in, and on the inside, it's a well-built place. Wood paneling along some of the walls for accents, pillars that hold up a second-story balcony, but past those is a relatively open dining area. High vaulted ceiling with windows across the top to let in as much natural light, though at the moment oil lanterns around are what is giving the soft glow. On the far side is probably the only thing that really is of any note. A large glass window almost describes a good amount of that wall. And at the base of it is something of a pedestal or an altar made of glass. You're not entirely sure. He leads you to one table and orders a coffee for you and some wine for himself.
So, Armand, do you often invite strange women you find at shrines out for coffee?
No. Only the ones that I find crying at altars under the moonlight. That sounded weird.
I certainly hope that does not happen as frequently.
Come to think of it, this is the first time. No, this place is a well-frequented spot of mine and my friends. Yeah. It's nice and cozy. The owners are decently kind. The wine is good. And he raises his glass and takes a deep sip.
How's the coffee, DM?
It's pretty good. It's not the best. But it's definitely not subpar.
It's fine. It's fine coffee.
It's fine coffee. Definitely bitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the coffee's not bad.
There are a few patrons in this area. It is late for a cafe like this to be still open, but it appears that there's enough patronage to justify it being open at this time of night.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's rather accommodating. There are some rooms upstairs for rent for, it does accommodate some overnight stay, but mostly just for extra, how would you say that? Meeting rooms. Places for people who don't normally have a place to meet up as a group, to be able to meet in private.
I'll have to keep that in mind the next time I need to meet with some friends at such a late hour. Or business associates, I suppose.
Tell me, how long has Amada been your guide?
What did we say, DM? 3 years? Two and a half
Approximately.
years?
Yeah.
2 years, something more. I lost my way for a time and she helped bring me back. I've only heard my life since then. Perhaps a bit more dramatic than most women you find sobbing at shrines, but well, I suppose if we're sobbing at shrines, then it's usually a dramatic story.
Well, that is honestly the reason I asked, but that is for you to tell if you wish. I personally only found the mother recently. Learned, however, that she apparently actually has some connections to the wine industry. I still have yet to figure out why. No one's telling me anything, and I can't find any of her documentations. But I mean, it's worth the shot in figuring it out, I suppose.
I don't recall coming across anything about the wine industry in her scriptures, but perhaps it is a connection to dreams. I know wine can sometimes make people see strange things or fall to sleep.
I-
Shrugs.
Perhaps, maybe it's just intoxication. I don't know. But what I have learned is that by the time you need to go to the shrine, that is the time you need something strong to drink as well.
I have little trust for strong drink myself. I've nothing against others who indulge in it, but
Well,
I'm a bit
that is much
sensitive.
appreciated. And he takes a deep draft. Well, I don't want to keep you, and I don't want you to feel me pushy, so I will leave you here now. This is it's a good place to come when you have nowhere else to go.
Well, thank you, Arman, and I pray you find the peace you need to sleep tonight.
He takes a stand and kind of teeters a little, having just finished his wine glass fully. Oh, I think definitely have. Yes, can definitely sleep now.
Will you be able to walk home?
Oh, yes, no, I'm fine. I've made it out of this place way worse than this. And he just
DM,
kind of
is he
starts
fine?
teetering away.
Does he look like he can actually make it home?
He
Or is it
has
that-
the practiced walk of a chronic drunk.
Oh dear. But at the same time, this is more than just like the alcohol has temporarily impaired the frontal lobe, so he thinks that he's fine.
He looks like he's not going to die.
After finishing her coffee, Liberty will ask the person, ask someone at the counter or whatever, how much it would be if there's a room available to rent for overnight.
For overnight stay, it's 7 silver.
7 silver. All right. I will hand them the coin and rent a room for the night.
All right. Is there anything else that anyone had pressing?
I'll text you.
Okay, sounds good.
Probably the same. Since Darian's doing other things.
Secret things.
He is set to work. In
In that
doing
case-
necromancies.
in his study.
In that case, we're getting close to 10:30. So unless anyone had anything that they would like to do, I believe that's where we're going to be calling it.
Yes.
Thank you, DM.
Thank you. That was
Such a good game.
a lot of role play.